Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest episode of Show Me Your Diamond. My diamond today is someone very special, James Skinner. He's an expert in AI and he has been working in AI since 1985. He's been a managing consultant since 1987 and he has so many titles I wouldn't be able to remember them all. But most of all, he is someone very special and very unusual. I had the pleasure to meet you, James, in person, but please introduce yourself the way, tell our listeners and viewers a little bit more about who you are.
I'm James Skinner. I was originally born in the US, but I moved to Japan in 1989 when I was 19 years old, which kind of gives away how old I am now. Actually, 1983, I moved to Japan, sorry. I became involved in AI in 1985 when I was working for the US Embassy in Tokyo. And my job was actually introducing US-based AI technologies to Japan and the world. Had an opportunity to demonstrate systems for the emperor and the prime minister, and pretty heady stuff for a 20-year-old kid at the time. And yeah, mostly I've spent my life trying to teach people a better way to live. So all the AI or whatever else I've been involved in, those are really just tools for us to have a better life. So
And I love having AI in my life. This is how I met you. I met you at the National Achievers Congress in London a year or two ago and had the pleasure. We also had that amazing dinner together. And it was just so nice to sit next to James and pick his brain because he's so knowledgeable. I mean, you're so knowledgeable. You have such an interesting life. So first about AI, I mean, for most of us, AI is something new in our lives, and you've been dealing with it since the times that no one even knew what that was. So what was it back then when you started, and how has it progressed that now we can't imagine living without AI?
So when I first became involved with AI, it focused on something called expert systems. And the idea with an expert system is you could take an expert in any field, say a expert doctor who was a diagnostician, and you could find out how do they do their diagnosis? How do they make the decision that this is what you have? And so they would ask you some questions. Do you have a fever? Yes or no? And if the answer was yes, well, then it might be these diseases. And if it was no, it might be these diseases. Do your joints hurt? Yes or no? And they have what basically we call a decision tree. So yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, this must be the result. And the idea was that if we could pick your brain enough and ask you enough questions, we could figure out how you make the decisions that you make. And then we could program that into a computer. So pretty simple. And we were getting some pretty interesting results. When I demonstrated our system for the Emperor of Japan, the AI was composing original Baroque music.
Wow.
Because it's very rule-based, music has very well-defined rules, and you can follow the rules, pick a key, this key, yes or no, this rhythm, yes or no, this note to follow this note, yes or no. And it seemed very promising, but our approach was completely wrong, it turned out. And it was wrong for two reasons. And the two reasons were, number one, you don't actually know why you do what you do. You don't know how you make decisions. So say we go out to dinner and you order the chocolate ice cream. And I say, well, Julia, why did you order the chocolate ice cream? And you say, well, it looked yummy. And of course, this is a non-answer answer. It doesn't tell us anything about why you actually chose it. What about it? What about the appearance makes it yummy? Well, we don't know. And so there was that problem. And the more complicated the field, the less you actually know how you're making the decisions. How does a CEO make a decision about what product to launch next? I mean, it's incredibly complex and the CEO doesn't actually know. The other problem was that if circumstances change even a little bit, then your whole decision criteria changes. So I may say, well, Julia, you had the chocolate ice cream last week. Why aren't you having it this week? Didn't it look yummy? And you say, well, it looked really yummy, but I've gained a little bit of weight and I'm trying to reduce now. And so the whole thing fell apart. And then we entered what we call AI winter in the 1990s, late 80s, 90s. And nobody wanted to talk about AI at all. Nobody wanted to invest in it. Investors didn't want to hear about it. Nobody wanted to research it. It kind of died. But computers were having their golden age. Memory was becoming cheaper and denser, and CPUs were becoming more powerful. We were getting more compute, and that allowed us to take an approach that wasn't possible before that. And that approach was basically, well, since we don't know how to program the computer, let's not program it at all. Which sounds really strange, right?
Yeah.
Let's not program it. Let's set it up to learn. And this ushered in the age of machine learning. And machine learning, this is a little bit perhaps difficult for people to grasp at first. It's all about prediction. Okay, so we give the computer tons and tons and tons and tons of data, which is called big data. Like, for example, everything that you've ever bought on Amazon, every page you ever looked at on Amazon, every book you looked at, every review that you read, every review that you entered, every piece of merchandise that you returned or didn't return, how you rated it, 1 star, 5 stars, and how everybody else in the world, everything that they've bought. And we give it all this data, and we say, look for statistical relationships between the data. And it does. But the really interesting thing is we don't know what statistical relationships it found. So when Amazon recommends you a product, there isn't really anybody at Amazon that knows why. It could be because, I don't know, people in Wisconsin are buying things that are similar to people in Frankfurt. You know, or it could be that people who bought these glasses also bought these hats. Who knows? And AI finds these relationships and then it predicts what you're most likely to buy, and that appears in your recommendations. Okay.
Wow.
Or it could be something like Tesla. So most people don't think of a self-driving car as a prediction machine, but that's exactly what it is. We're trying to predict, will this child run out in the middle of the road? Will this person slam on their brakes? Will the traffic light change before I get to it? And so driving is basically a series of predictions. And so that world exploded around very late 90s, and it's still very prevalent today. Facebook predicts who do you probably know. Mm-hmm. Amazon predicts what do you probably want to buy. Palantir predicts how many people do you need to send to a particular place on the battlefield to prevail. Most people don't realize that the reason that Russia can't win in Ukraine is AI.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the US has been sharing information with Ukraine based on their Gotham Palantir system about what to do to prevail.
Wow.
And where to send a sniper to take out a general. You know, more Russian generals have died in this war than we've ever seen generals die anywhere before. It's crazy. And so this machine learning has played out everywhere. But most people didn't think much about AI when it was just machine learning. Well, because you needed big data, and most people don't have big data. And you needed a bunch of engineers and a really large computer, and you know, it's like that was something that big companies and governments did. And then came ChatGPT. And everything changed. So because I'd been around, I mean, my grandmother was a computer programmer
Wow.
for 30 years, and there are not many people my age that can say that. I
Oh
mean, my
my
brother and I
God,
might be
this
the
is
only people that can say that.
What an interesting fact.
Yeah. And my father was a nuclear physicist who studied under Richard Feynman at Caltech. And so we were kind of around the vibe of this stuff. And we'd been waiting for it, like wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And then it came. And as soon as I saw ChatGPT, I was like, oh my goodness, it has finally arrived. It's not the near future anymore, it's now.
It's now.
And that basically put me in panic mode. I go out on the street and I see people walking around as if nothing had happened. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? Don't you realize that the biggest change to ever hit humanity just happened, and it happened all at once? It's like the agricultural revolution, the industrial revolution, the global trade revolution, the democracy revolution, and the computer revolution, the internet revolution, all combined, happening all at once in under 5 years. That's how
Yes.
big it is. And so I was like, oh my gosh, everything just changed. Every job, the way that every job is performed just changed. So, for example, I've been an author. I've published 21 books in Japan, China, and Korea. And I thought, well, the way that books gets written just changed. And so I immediately got AI to write a book called A Book About AI Written by AI,
So
which
you
became,
you helped, I mean, you are the person who's done the first book about AI written by AI.
well, it was more than that. It was the first bestseller ever written by AI.
Wow.
Legitimate top 10 bestseller in the bookstores. In China, it was selected as the best book of 2023 for the year.
That's mega. And it's not a tiny country, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so, well, then I thought I've been a public speaker for many years, so public speaking just changed. And so I did a TEDx talk, which was the very first TEDx talk ever delivered completely by AI. I didn't go.
That's unbelievable. And last year I did my first TEDx the old way, the old-fashioned way. Can you believe it? I'm so behind.
And have just been running with it ever since. Recently, I created maybe the first ever full enterprise production ready app end to end that was programmed entirely by AI without a single line of human generated code. And so, like most people think vibe coding, you can do simple apps. No, end to end enterprise level apps. You were delayed a little bit today, and I had an extra 15, 20 minutes of time. And so I created an entire end to end internal email and communication system for employees, vendors, admins, subcontractors, and distribution partners, all in 15 minutes, and it's already deployed.
Oh my God. So please remember that this creative time came just before recording the podcast with me.
So literally what previously would have been perhaps a couple of months of work is now 20 minutes.
This is mega.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy.
I had the pleasure of studying with James for a year. I would wake up 7 a.m. London time to hear what's new in the world of AI. I loved it, and I learned a lot. And every week you had so much more to teach us and so much more to share. It's incredible. And you know what you can create, what you can do. I'm pretty sure the majority of the population still doesn't know what they could use AI for. Most people just use it now to write emails or texts.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. So if we were to think about where, what level is AI currently at? That'd be a useful thing to think about. So some interesting statistics. 3 years ago, AI was passing the bar exam in the US in the top 10%. So 3 years ago, it was already better at the law exam than 90% of lawyers.
Wow.
It passed the medical exam in the top 5%. But that's
Mm.
all pretty old data. It is now, let's see, 6 weeks ago, it ranked in the top 50 competitive programmers in the world.
Top
So,
50.
top 50. That would mean 49 human programmers that could score better. Now it's number one.
So from being 50 to being number one, how long did it take?
A month.
Oh my God. So this is where we are now. Is there anything else shocking that you would like to share with our viewers and listeners?
Well,
Where
so
is AI?
there's a lot that's shocking. So IQ, it's now in the top 0.01%. But if you limit the IQ test to verbal tasks, it's now in the top 0.00013%. So it's basically smarter than everybody. On Shopify or Spotify, sorry, most of the number one songs on Spotify now were written by AI. There's a test called Humanity's Last Exam where human PhDs score 5% because a very complicated exam. AI is now scoring 44%.
So humans 5% and AI
Human
44%?
human PhDs,
PhDs.
5%. Yeah.
So do people still need to ask people still going to be doing PhDs? Because my son is wanting to study chemistry and I think he wants to go to the academic route and do the PhD. I mean, in those few years, do you think we'll still have human PhDs?
Who knows? I think it's still important for humans to study and to learn. And I like to say that there are two types of people. There are people who AI will make them really dumb, and there are people who AI will make them really smart.
And really rich.
Yeah, and which one will you be?
Yeah.
So, for example, if every time you ask AI to figure something out, do you get it to teach you something along the way? Do you learn something from its thought process? Do you learn something from what it found out? And if you do, then you'll become very, very smart with AI. And otherwise, if you just have it to replace you, then you'll become very, very dumb.
Mm.
So, but I mean, just take programming, for example. What does it mean for AI to be the number one programmer in the world? So, say you're running a small business, and I go to you and I say, Julia, I'm the number one programmer in the world. I'm the best computer programmer in the world, and I want to come to work for you. Will you hire me? Is there any conceivable world in which you say no?
No.
No, it's like, yeah, come. And
Yeah.
then what if that programmer says, I got 50 of my friends, and they all want to come and work for you too. And they're numbers 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to number 50 in the world. And they all want to come and work for you too. Well, anybody who's sane is going to redesign their entire business. They're going to say, we're going to stop doing what we were doing, and we're going to do something that leverages the talents of the people who just walked in the door. And that's what just happened. You can literally build unicorns, potentially billion-dollar businesses in a couple of months. Now it's insane. And so I look back and I think, like, what was GDP, per capita GDP, when the US was formed? What was our productivity like? And What is our productivity and level of living today? Because I happen to be sitting in Texas right now, so I'll use the US as an example. And well, conservatively speaking, I think you would have to say that we're 5,000 times as prosperous as we were when we started out 250 years ago. At least 5,000x. I mean, it's kind of hard to compare, right? We had no cars. We had wood burning stoves, and you had to go down and cut down a tree to heat your house. We basically didn't have glass windows. 98% of the population had to work in agriculture just to get by. Now it's less than 1%. We had no air conditioning, no central heating, no airplanes to take us anywhere, no universities to speak of. We had nothing. We had no cameras, we had no internet, no computers, no cell phones, no phones, no telegraph, no electric light bulbs. And so it's a pretty conservative estimate to say maybe we're 5,000 times better off today than we were just 250 years ago. Well, AI is going to do that all over again.
So you probably get asked this a lot, but what's the future of AI if AI is already the best
Okay,
programmer?
so we've gone through this from expert systems to machine learning to generative AI, which is AI that's creative. Okay, and that's really important to understand. So AI can now draw pictures, it can create photographs, it can write songs, it can create videos, it can write. More importantly, it can read. And I want to talk about that a little bit. So most people are missing the juice. So, and I'll share a little bit of a personal story. So I just about a year ago, I became ill, and I went to the hospital, and they measured my blood pressure at 205 over 156, which
That's
is you
very,
could drop dead at any moment.
yeah.
And I went through 5 doctors, and they had a diagnosis. They had a name for the condition, but they couldn't find a cause. And so they basically told me, well, you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life. And I didn't particularly like that conclusion. And so I started having a discussion with AI. Now, human beings produce about 3.5 million scientific papers a year, which is a lot. And you can't read them. I was working with the best endocrinologist in Japan. He can't read all the research. There's no way. It's just too much. Plus, he has to see patients and, have a job and a family and a life. And well, AI can read all the papers. And so I had AI research the condition. We generated 3 new hypotheses about the underlying cause, narrowed it down to one. And 4 or 5 months later, my medication was down 90%.
Wow.
And so we're now in an age where AI is creative and it can read. So that's pretty crazy. So then you say, well, what's next? And I want to share like 3 dimensions of this, which I actually got from Sam Altman. So I'll give Sam credit here. And the first one is AI as programmer. This is the hottest thing right now, and most people have no idea what that means. What does it mean for AI to be the world's best programmer? Because most people, you think of programs, and I don't know what your image is, but what is a computer program? Well, every website is a computer program. It's written in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and it's a computer program. Every landing page to sell a product is a computer program. Every app on your phone is a computer program. Everything that happens inside your computer, everything that happens inside your phone, everything that happens on the cloud is a computer program. So, I mean, it's just kind of like, 80% of the economy or something like that. And AI is the best in the world at all of that. Everything that runs your train is a computer program. Everything that basically keeps your electric power grid operating is a computer program. And AI just became best in the world at running all of that. So that's a big deal. And what I want to say to anybody who might be listening to this is you are now a computer programmer. So Andrej Karpathy, who was the chief AI guy at Tesla, he said this, and he actually pinned this to the top of his X account for quite a while. The hottest programming language in the world today is English. English is now a computer programming language. So all of those of you who speak English are now computer programmers. You can just say to AI, okay, I want to make a landing page and I want it more like this and I want it to include this content. Could you please rewrite this section? And it will rewrite the HTML and the JavaScript. And could you please make this button animated? And anything you want to do, it can do it. So everybody on the planet just became a computer programmer. So that's pretty amazing and that's really hot. And that's the biggest economic impact of AI right now as far as I can see. So what's coming next is agentic AI. So when we say agentic, what we mean by that is AI that can seek a goal autonomously on its own.
What does that mean, seek a goal on its
So
own?
let's give a simple example. You could say to AI, find me $1 million. Okay. And it could say, okay, this person wants me to find them $1 million. How am I going to go about doing that? And it might think, well, maybe there's government grant money available. And so it might go off and do an internet search. And everybody knows that ChatGPT and Claude and Grok, they can all search the internet. They all have their own browsers. And so it could go off and do a search of all the government grants that are available. But when it becomes agentic, now it can start to type things into its own browser. So it could go to the government's page, it could find the form, it could fill out the form, it could submit the form. It could submit applications for all the grants that are available, which you could never in a million years read all the documentation for. And then it could set up a landing page and it could go do a search on, Alibaba or whatever and find some products being manufactured in China that it might import. And then it could fill out an order form and spin up a page on Amazon and try and resell some of that stuff. And well, because tools like Gemini, which is Google's version of ChatGPT essentially, they have access to Nano Banana, really great image generating software. It could start designing t-shirts, find a
Wow.
vendor who can print them,
This
start marketing them on Etsy,
this is unbelievable.
and just continue to iterate until it reaches the goal of $1 million in the bank account. So that's now.
That's already happening.
That is essentially already happening. So when we do, and this comes out of the programming thing as well. So when we use AI for programming, it's being very agentic. We can say, I need a messaging system that does all of these things. And it says, okay, let me go off and work on that. Let me go off and examine the code base. And the code base of the app that I'm currently building is 100,000 lines of code, which is just massive. So if you think maybe an average book has, say 40 lines of text on it, then we're talking about a 2,500 page book of code.
2,500. Wow. That's a
Okay.
lot.
Yeah, it's like the Bible,
Yeah.
right? It's like let me just read through the whole New Testament, or no, the whole Old Testament actually, and figure out what's going on here. And so now I understand the system and I understand all the players, and let me go build the messaging system. So I'll create a plan, and it creates its whole plan and 7 phases that, for a human development team would be 6 to 8 weeks. And then it says, is it okay for me to just go ahead and build it? And you say, yes, just go ahead. And then it just goes out and builds the whole thing and tests the whole thing and documents the whole thing and deploys it. And so that's being agentic, acting as an agent in the world, having agency. So, we talk about free agency, the ability to choose for yourself. And so that's kind of where we are right now. So the next phase is what happens when you take agency and give it tools?
What
Okay.
kind of tools would you give it?
How about legs?
What?
And how about arms? And how about eyes?
Are we talking robots?
Of course. So if
Wow.
you think about somebody like Elon Musk
Yeah.
and you say, well, what is a Tesla? So most people think a Tesla is a car.
iPad on wheels, they also call it. I drive one of those.
Yeah, it's not a car. Elon Musk, I'm quite sure, does not think of a Tesla as being an automobile. It is a human transportation robot. Okay. It is AI. The whole self driving thing is all AI that has wheels and a steering wheel and a motor. So you can get into your Tesla and say, take me to the supermarket, and it can do that. So that's now, so it's goal seeking, right? It's like I got to get to the supermarket, and it's figuring out how to do that on its own. I should slow down here. I should change lanes. I should turn at the light.
A lot of people are
Uh,
scared of automobiles that drive on their own.
yeah, but that's still a limited set of tools. What if we give it hands? Then you can say, don't take me to the supermarket. Go to the supermarket and buy me 2 melons, a winter squash, and some broccoli. It can take that goal and then it will have the tools to implement it. And that's what we're going to start seeing, I think, a lot of from around 2027.
That soon, next year.
Yeah. And I mean, think about it. We've already got a fair amount of this. What's a Roomba?
Roomba?
Yeah. Well, it will vacuum your house.
Oh,
So it
yes.
has a goal, and it's able to seek that. It's got the tool, which is the vacuum cleaner. It's just a question of which tools do we give to it. You can put an image into ChatGPT today and tell me. I mean, the first time I saw ChatGPT vision capability, when it first came out, I was with my billionaire forum in Japan, and so I'm with these guys, and I thought I got to start pointing my camera at stuff and see what AI sees. And so one of the guys sitting next to me had a very expensive watch on, and so I just pointed my iPhone and took a picture of his watch, put it into Chat GPT, and so
Are you
I
back?
took my yeah, I'm back. So I took my iPhone, I pointed it at his watch, and I took a picture, showed it to Chat GPT, and said, "Tell me about the watch and how much it costs." It immediately identified the watch, told me all of its characteristics, found me the retail price and the price to buy one used. So then I thought, okay, I'm a native level speaker of Japanese, and the hardest Japanese that there is menus, because chefs invent new dishes every day and come up with some name for them. And so we had a Japanese bento box lunch, and I took a picture of the lunch and I said, write the menu. Just figured out what everything was, wrote the menu for it. Then I said, estimate the number of calories. It estimated the number of calories in the lunchbox. Then I pointed it at the guy, another guy sitting next to me, and from the side, took a side picture, and I said, analyze this person's posture and create an exercise program to correct it. Done. And so it already has the ability to see. You can have a conversation with your ChatGPT app. It can hear. So why can't it go to the supermarket?
Oh,
Well, the only reason it can't go to the supermarket is because it hasn't got legs and hands.
is that what Elon Musk is building now?
That is part of what Elon Musk is building. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see those Optimus humanoid robots that he's building, and my belief is that Elon has always been about the robots.
Mm.
So why build Starlink? Well, so that your robots never lose their connection to the internet, no matter where they go on the planet.
This is cool.
And so that no government on the world can cut your internet connection to your robots. I mean, that guy is playing four-dimensional chess 30 years out. Pretty much an alien. Yeah,
Yeah, he's superhuman.
yeah. And he also
Unbelievable.
moved to Texas. So,
Oh, really? Are you neighbors now?
well, it's a big state. We'll say that.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
James, do you still live in Japan mainly?
No, I actually moved to Texas.
Oh, you did. Okay,
Yeah.
because
So I'm
last
I'm
we were
working
in
on an
touch.
AI startup, and it's convenient for me to be here. I still travel to Japan relatively frequently, but I'm actually now living in Texas.
And what about your other travels? Because one of the things I do is luxury travel and now more and more wellness travel. And I loved hearing from you every week, sometimes every week or every other week, you would dial from, I don't know, Bali, and then it would be like all different countries. I mean, how much do you travel and do you still travel that much?
So I've been to 110 countries.
You beat me. I've only been to 70.
So that 70 is a pretty good number. Been to every continent. And I look back on last year. Last year was pretty crazy. I got punched by a gorilla in Rwanda, which was absolutely awesome.
Was it dangerous? I would guess so.
Not really.
No?
No, gorillas are actually quite gentle with humans. So you could tell there was no intent to do me damage. There was intent to let me know whose trail I was on.
Oh.
It's like, dude, this is my trail.
Or one day's on my wonder list.
Yeah, wonderful country. People don't realize, and I'll just throw this in, people remember the genocide. And so they think that the people who committed the genocide are still there, but they're not. The people who committed the genocide ultimately lost the war, and they all fled across the border into the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the DRC is still a dangerous place. Rwanda is not. It's a wonderful place to visit. I was in Ukraine.
During the war,
Um,
you went to Ukraine?
oh yeah, yeah. On
And
the
how was that?
very peaceful. Yeah. So
Really?
I mean, we were of course in the west of Ukraine, not in the Donbass. So I mean, the Donbass has undergone obviously horrific conditions. Being in a war zone is no joke, right? But
Mhm.
in the west of Ukraine, everybody's out on the plaza on a sunny day having a latte. So
Wow,
um,
interesting.
so that was interesting. Of course, spent some time in Poland and um, went to Mozambique and Bazaruto and South Africa and Kruger National Park and um, I mean like just even trying to list. I mean I was in Bali and Thailand and of course Japan and Singapore and uh, diving the Great Barrier Reef in Australia and
Have you been to Ecuador? Because this is where I'm
yes,
going in a couple of weeks.
yes, of course.
Is it nice?
Yeah, so Quito, of course, the whole city is a, World Heritage
UNESCO,
Site.
yeah.
Yeah. And the Galapagos is absolutely amazing.
This is where I'm
So,
going. And of course, I want to stand on the equator line,
mm,
one leg in the northern hemisphere and one in the southern. That should be pretty Instagrammable.
yeah, yeah.
And okay, so you still travel a lot. So if I ask you what's your favorite place or country in the world, could you answer that?
No. I would answer you with a question, and my question would be for what?
Yeah.
So, for example, for conducting business, Japan, it's amazing. You take the world's, kind of second or third largest economy, depending on how you want to evaluate that, but you put it all in one city
Mm.
because all of the major companies have headquarters in Tokyo. Even the ones that are headquartered in Osaka have a second headquarters in Tokyo. And so you can conduct all of your business within 45 minutes. And there's nowhere in the world that you can do that. That's absolutely amazing. I mean, the US, obviously, we have, by far the largest economy in the world, but it's spread out, finance in New York and the energy industry down in Houston and Silicon Valley being the tech spot, and it's kind of spread out all over the place. In Japan, it's all in one place. And people are fundamentally honest. And if somebody says something's going to be delivered on Wednesday at 2 o'clock, by gosh, it comes Wednesday at 2 o'clock. Absolutely amazing.
Wow.
I happen to love tropical places. And so for tropical places, um, best beach in the world for my money is in Zanzibar.
I've been there on one of
So
my birthdays, but I don't know if I've been to your beach. I just remember going to the Rock, the restaurant, and I've seen beaches where cows go, and that was pretty awesome.
yeah, really awesome white sandy beaches, so
Yeah.
soft, pristine, not that many people. So for me, it's kind of a for what. If you want to play the big game in life and you really want to hit the home run out of the park, it's the US. There's no question. The US plays on a completely different level from every other place in the world.
For what would you choose the US for travel?
If you for anything where you want to blow up and be big,
Ah, okay, okay, okay.
you want to become the biggest musician in the world, it's the US. Even the Beatles had to come here to do it.
Okay, so for my podcast to get more attention, show me a diamond, do I need to move to the US?
Well, you need to compete here.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
because the
competition
biggest
here
people are there.
is
Yeah.
the competition here is intense, but if you win here, you've won everywhere. And so you look at, well, who are the biggest podcasters on the planet? And they're, Joe Rogan and Patrick Bet David and, Ben Shapiro and on and on. They're the ones who have won the game here.
Mm, amazing. And if you would to ask me what's your favorite country out of the 70 I visited, my answer would be the next country I haven't been to.
Yeah,
Because
there's always
yes,
that.
yeah, exactly. I'm a Sagittarius, so for me, traveling and adventure, I'm just this is what makes me the happiest. So yeah, I
Yeah,
still
and
have.
I
So
think it's
now I know
important
whom
that,
to ask.
and I think it's important that you mention, the adventure aspect, because it's not just going there. It's like go there and do something.
Yes, that's why if I'm interested in expeditions or
Yeah,
something that would have a cause, either charitable or learning about the indigenous people, but doing something or yes, exactly. So not touristy places, but really expedition and seeing life for locals.
yeah. One of my most amazing experiences of 2025 was actually getting stranded on Everest.
Tell us a little bit more about that. That sounds pretty interesting.
So it's a pretty amazing story. So I was taking a group of, my billionaire forum in Japan. I was taking them to Nepal. And so it's like, well, if we're going to Nepal, we want to go to Everest and at least up to base camp. And so we contacted the local coordinator in Nepal, and they did some homework and came back and said, we can't do it. I said, well, why not? And they said, well, we don't have 2 weeks to walk all the way up and from Kathmandu, and the helicopters aren't allowed to fly up to base camp anymore. They changed the law. So it's like, okay, well, they changed the law, big deal. So I told my manager, I said, call the helicopter company directly and see what they have to say. Because, helicopter pilots tend to be a little bit cowboy, and maybe they have a different view on the subject. And we called them and they said, yes, indeed, we haven't been able to get permission to fly off even in that direction for months. It's like, okay. So then I told my manager, I said, call the helicopter company and make a reservation to fly to Everest. And she's like, I don't understand. And I'm like, well, the law is going to change. So just make the reservation. Tell them we know they can't do it, but we want to make the reservation for the flight that they can't do. So it's like, okay. It's because like when the rules change, we don't want anybody else to be able to get the reservation and then we can't fly. So we want to, we're going to pay you, we're going to make the reservation even though we know you can't do the flight. And they're like, huh? 2 days later, they call us up and they say, it looks like the rules are going to change, and 2 months from now, we may be able to fly. And that, of course, coincides exactly with when we're going. And so, fine. So we reserved 3 days of helicopters for two places we wanted to go. We wanted to go to Everest, and we wanted to go to Lo Mantang, which is the Lower Mustang, which is this forbidden country that you couldn't go to until the 90s. Maybe 20, and you still need a government permit from Nepal to go there. And so we arrive in Kathmandu, and the next morning we go out to the airport and we say, how are things looking for Everest? They say, you don't understand. Everest has been souped in under the weather for weeks. There's no way. But the Mustang's fine. So we got in the helicopters. We flew up to the border of Nepal and Tibet. Did that whole thing. Come back, great. Beautiful day. Next morning, we're at the airport at 6 a.m. We said, how's it looking? They looked at us with really strange faces. And they said, it's perfectly clear all the way up to Everest. Who
James,
are you
what did you
people?
do?
And so we all hop in the helis and we fly up. And the flight path is quite an interesting flight plan that they have to do. So the closest airport to Everest is the Hillary Tenzing Airport, named after, of course, the first two guys to ever summit. But the airport has no roads, and so they can't tank in gas. So you fill up your helicopter with gas in Kathmandu, you fly to the Tenzing Hillary Airport, and you unload all your gas so that you can refuel on the way home to get back to Kathmandu. Then you fly up to a place called Firiche, which is about 10K below base camp, and you unload half your passengers because you have to get light or you can't get up there. And then you fly up to base camp and you see Everest, beautiful sunny day, blue sky, not a cloud anywhere, just a little wisp of cloud down the right side of the mountain. Then they come back, drop us off, take the other half of the people up, come back. We all get in the helicopter. 5 minutes later, Mount Everest is completely covered in clouds. The weather comes in that fast, 5 minutes. We literally had a 10-minute window where Everest was visible.
And you got that window.
And we got that window. But then the weather came in so fast that the Lukla Airport, the Tenzing Hillary Airport, was closed. And we can't land there.
Oops.
Oops. So you can't refuel, and so you can't get back to Kathmandu. So what do? So we put the helicopter down at this little Sherpa lodge on Everest and tie it down for the night. And I asked the pilot, I said, "What's the longest you guys ever been stuck up here?" And he's like, "A couple of weeks."
Oh.
And so we go out of the lodge, and there's this little trail where people hike all the way up to base camp. And we saw the darndest thing I've ever seen in my life. There's this little old Sherpa, got to be in his 60s, maybe 5 feet tall. And he's just chugging up the trail, just going up the trail like this. And you'll never guess what he has on his back. He has a full-sized refrigerator strapped to his back.
Oh my God, why?
Because some lodge up there wanted a refrigerator. And
Wow.
so he's carting this thing from Kathmandu up Everest, just going like this. And he had to bend over like 45 degrees at the waist so the thing wouldn't drag on the ground.
I hope you took a picture and video of that.
Yeah, some of my guys got it. Darndest thing you ever saw. And
Wow.
so those are the adventures, right? Like
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
able to tell to be
yeah.
able to tell the story when you're old, of being stranded on Everest, or when you visited the birthplace of the Buddha, or going on tiger safari in Chitawan.
Oh,
Um,
I hope you're writing a book and putting those pictures because you having this amazing life, James. I know, I'm sure you realize that, but so many people would never do that. So it would be amazing for you to put those stories down with pictures whenever possible. And you have your AI to do it, faster.
yeah. Anything you didn't get a picture of, AI can generate the photo for you now.
That's true.
So
You could just describe. And James, I'm aware of the time. I could actually spend hours and days talking to you because you have this treasure box of stories and wisdom and knowledge. I'm so pleased we met. You're probably the smartest person I know, and I have met many people. And I just remember also in class, people would ask you, and in 5 minutes, you would just give them like a solution for their businesses. It's incredible just to live in your brain. But three questions just before we
mhm.
finish. You have been to so many places and you have done so much work and possibly money and met incredible people, worked with billionaires. I also, in my luxury and jewelry business, work with billionaires. But what do you think meeting them? So what does make billionaires happy? Because they're the people who really have it all. Is there something that you've learned and so and you wanting to solve? Are they missing something?
um, I think that they're billionaires because they're always going to be missing something.
Hmm. That's why they never stop.
That's why they never stop. There's never a level where they get satisfied.
Hmm. Interesting. Thank you for that. So, and what is
I mean, you have
happiness?
you have to be pretty obsessive to become to go that far.
Yeah, because after a few millions, I'll be like, okay, I think I have all I need. Now let me enjoy, let me give back, let me teach, let me travel, right? But for people to keep going like that, because billions, I mean, how do you even spend that amount of money?
Well, you don't.
You don't, right?
You don't. No.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, it's in 2025, 2026, 2027, taking care of your own needs is not hard. It's just not. When I first moved to Japan, I was living on $350 a month, including rent and food.
Hard to believe in Japan you could even live with that. How many years ago?
It's been a while, but
Oh, okay.
still, but
Still,
still,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
call it $500, right? And so you had $250 for rent and utilities, which meant you couldn't live alone. You'd be living four people. sleeping in futons on the floor, no heating and air conditioning. We had a kerosene stove, which you couldn't run at night because it would kill you. And my call your food budget $100 a month, $3 a day. And I was not unhappy,
Mm.
and I was not starving to death. Our staple food was chicken feed. So we would go to the farmers and they would sell us chicken feed for 10 kilograms for $7. And it was very nutritious and you could survive. Like, human beings are amazing. We can find a way to survive, right?
Mm.
And so you go like, how hard is it to find a warm place to sleep and some food to eat and some clothes to wear? It's not hard. It just is not, right?
Mhm.
Then at some level you go, taking care of yourself is not hard. And so if you operate on the question of, do I really need X, whatever X is, and that's your requirement for deciding if you do something, then you live a very limited life. Do you need to go to Mount Everest? No. Do you need to go jungle trekking in Rwanda? No. Do you need to start a business? No.
Mm.
Do you need to own your own home? No. Do you need to learn how to swim? No. Right? We're not fish. We don't need to learn how to swim, but it could make your life, more enjoyable and give you great memories. And so you don't do things because you need to, for the most part. You do them because you want to and you can.
So what is happiness and what is success for you?
So I've spent 35 years teaching people how to succeed. And the hardest thing about doing that job was actually making the decision that I would never define success. Because who am I to tell you what success is? Right? Because everybody's going to have a different view of that, and that's okay. And everybody has a different problem they're trying to solve and a different goal they're trying to reach. So, I've worked with Olympic athletes where their goal was Olympic gold or bust. And so for them, success was winning an Olympic gold medal. Okay, fine. That's a worthy endeavor. For others, it was, making $1 million or making $10 million or making $100 million. Fine. If that's what you're pursuing right now. But through all of that, I would have to say, whatever goal you had, if it didn't force you to become more than you already are, it was a very poor goal. Making $1 million is only a useful goal if it makes you $1 million person. Winning an Olympic gold medal is only useful if it makes you an Olympic gold medal person. And so if the goal that you're pursuing forces you to become more of what you're capable of becoming, well, then that's a pretty good goal as far as I'm concerned. And I'm more than happy to help people, achieve that goal if it's going to make them become something more of what they are.
So in short, success and happiness for you is
Becoming more.
becoming more. I love it, becoming more. And the crown question, James, show me your diamond.
If it's anything, I think it's the understanding that it's not about you. You say, well, why do some people have very large goals and are able to achieve them and others have very small goals and aren't even able to achieve those? Well, if you think that you're the one that has to achieve the goal, your goals are going to be pretty small because guess what? You're pretty small. But if you realize that there is some power that is greater than you And I don't care how you want to define that. If you just realize, like, oh, it's my subconscious mind, fine. You don't understand anything about your subconscious mind. So if you want to call God your subconscious mind, go for it. I'm good with it. You know, if you just think it's other people in society and other people in society could get behind your project and that would be enough, fine. But greatness is tapping into a higher power, something greater than yourself, and using it for a higher purpose, something greater than your own selfish desires. And I think that the more that people get that, the greater their lives will become.
Wow. That's so beautiful and so deep. And I got to know you better today. And when I asked you, like, because yes, I invited you to be a guest on my podcast because I really value you and admire you. And I believe you'll be a great, you would give so much to the listeners and viewers. And when I asked you, is there a goal that you would like to get? And you just said, to serve you and your audience. And that was very special because usually people, yes, they're after promotion or something, and you didn't ask for anything. In fact, you said, I'm here to serve you. And that touched me deeply. Thank you so much, James, for your time, for your kindness, wisdom, and generosity.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
And I hope we stay in touch. And I
Of
hope you
course.
come back again and we talk AI, travel, and the bigger things in life that are bigger than us. Thanks
I'll look
again.
forward to it. Thank you so much.
From London to Texas, lots of love.